thank you very much for joining us this morning. Just to let you know, we're recording this session, so if anything that's said that you want to go over afterwards, we'll give you access to the recording as well, so that you can obviously make notes as we go. But if there's anything that you want to double check over, we'll send that across to you. I hope you're all having a good week and a good morning. Like I say, thanks for joining, and this is our webinar today on an interview with our very own and ex-Google Andrew Bruce. So it should give you a chance to learn a little bit about Andy, what he does at WebBox and his past experience, as well as a bit more of a dig into kind of digital marketing, the different channels that you can use, and the kind of things that Andy does on a day-to-day. Just to introduce myself, I'm Sean, so I'm Growth Director here at WebBox. I've been in the web industry for about 14 years. I started out as a web developer. With your idea, and they should come back to you yesterday. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah, I started out as a web developer, and I've worked through sort of different delivery roles, project manager and account manager, and now working as growth director. And my main priority is sort of taking clients' needs and requirements and shaping those into solutions, whether it be a web-based platform or kind of PPC ads, and working with the PPC team on that. Yeah, so I guess let's kick off. So the structure today as well, I think I've put it in some of the emails, so we're going to talk a little bit about Andy and about Andy's background, then talk a little bit about digital marketing as a whole and kind of different channels and ways that you can utilize those. Have a little look at the future of digital marketing, and then we'll open it up to sort of a Q&A session. So if you've got any questions as we go, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll take a look at those at the end. And also at the end, if you want to, unmute yourself and shout out, more than happy to do that as well. So let's get going. I'm going to channel my best Michael Parkinson now for the interview. So Andy, thanks for doing this, and welcome to the call. So if you could just start off by sort of introducing yourself, who you are, years of experience in marketing and digital marketing, and what you do at WebBox on a day-to-day.
Yeah, no problem at all, Sean. So hi everyone. As Sean said, I'm Andrew. So I'm one of the paid ad specialists here at WebBox, which means I do lots of different things to do with paid advertising online. Years in marketing. Yeah, I really don't want to do the maths on how long I've been in marketing for. I'm going to say 17 years, but I think it might be a little bit more than that now.
That's pretty good going. Fair play. And if you could just go into a little bit as well, like say what you do sort of like day to day in your role at WebBox as well.
Yeah, so on a day-to-day basis, I'm doing everything from strategizing about clients' accounts, so planning ahead for Black Friday as an example, and what we're going to be doing for clients to help increase the volume of sales that they're going to be getting, or inquiries over that period. I'm building accounts, and obviously I'm optimizing accounts to make sure we get the best possible returns on the client's marketing budget that we possibly can.
Lovely. And I guess so that's your sort of day-to-day currently at WebBox. Can you take us through your past experience, and obviously the big thing being the role that you played at Google as well, which obviously is an interesting thing to look at, because they're the beast. I've worked for a few companies over the years. I started off actually at Yellow Pages, when Yellow Pages was actually a great big thick doorstop directory that everyone used. It was pretty much the go-to for everything. And I was there as we started to transition towards digital for them, which was their own digital platform, and they also did Google Ads. It wasn't called Google Ads at the time, I've forgotten what it was called, but we started doing that at that point as well. From there, I was a regional and then divisional manager at Sky, so heavily involved in sales and marketing, as they started to roll out their Sky AdSmart platform, which is a really, really cool way of doing essentially digital ads on TV. And then I was at Google. So at Google, my first role was as what they call an agency manager. So sorry about that. So I looked after about 60 ad agencies across the UK and Ireland.
and that was to help train their staff, to help them with their clients, to make sure we were getting the best response that their clients could get, and to help obviously the agency grow. And one of my agencies was WebBox, so I worked with Will and the team at WebBox for a lot of years there. And then my last role at Google was UK and I, so a UK and Ireland manager for Google, for basically anyone who didn't use an ad agency could get support from the Google team at that point to help with their campaigns.
So with that as well, so with the support you were giving to like agencies and, like you say, people that didn't necessarily use an agency, was that all around Google Ads and advertising on their platforms and how best to set those up and manage those? Was it?
Absolutely. So it was across Google's network of ads. So that's obviously Google search ads is obviously the main one that people think of when you go to Google and you search for a plumber or whatever it might be, and you see the list of ads at the top. But it's also YouTube ads, the display network ads, Gmail ads, and all sorts of other neat things that Google does as well, which people aren't necessarily aware of, to do with programmatic and other things.
Yeah, cool. Nice, cool. So I guess with all that experience, what was the thing that first got you into the world of, I guess, marketing as a whole, but digital marketing as well?
Yeah, so marketing's also always interested me, about trying to obviously help businesses grow, and digital marketing was also the next evolution in this step, but it was actually the more advanced way of marketing, because you could actually for once genuinely tell the results that your marketing efforts were getting. And you could turn around and know that, if I spend this amount of money, well, this is exactly what I then got out of it, or near enough, you could get a good idea. Whereas previously in offline forms of marketing, a lot of the time there's an element of guesswork as to how well or not it's working for you. So you could really justify that return on investment that clients should make in the marketing, and obviously that helps businesses grow because they know where they need to then focus their time, their energy, and their resources.
Nice, cool, lovely. And you may have sort of alluded to it there a little bit, but I was going to say, sort of, what do you find the most interesting? I guess the reason why you've done it for 17 years, really, in terms of digital marketing and marketing.
Yeah, for me, I like seeing the end result. So I like seeing a business being able to grow as the result of what they're getting out from their marketing. So it could be that they're able to grow their teams, or they're able to take on additional premises, but the impact that can make for small and medium enterprises, the direct impact that can make to the business owners' lives can be immense, in allowing them to maybe start to employ family if they want, or just to start to do things in their life that they weren't able to before. So it's just great being able to work closely with clients to see them get the end results that they need in their business to obviously go to the skills that they want.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Sounds good. And I guess that kind of comes onto that as well, is that what would you class as your greatest achievement in digital marketing? I know that's probably a difficult question, but
yeah, it's a hard one to answer. I think one of the best things I had was a Dalek in my office. That was quite cool. One of the original ones from the TV show in one of the London offices. You've got to say working for Google, obviously. Next to WebBox, WebBox slightly clinches it. But no, obviously just being able to be involved with the scale of stuff that you do at Google and some of the clients you work with was immense.
Awesome. Cool. That sounds good. So lovely. I think moving on to, I guess, the more sort of general digital marketing side of it, just give us a little bit of information about the different advertising channels that you use. So I think in some of the email that I sent out, I focused on kind of like Google Ads, but obviously there are lots of different kind of channels that you can utilize for different audiences, different needs and things like that. So which are the channels that you specialize in?
Yeah, so obviously I spend a lot of time doing search ads, so that is things like Google Ads, Microsoft Ads, or Bing Ads, which includes Yahoo, LinkedIn Ads, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Gmail, TikTok, programmatic, pretty much any of the digital platforms that you can imagine. We can run ads on. So I spend a huge amount of time, obviously, in those channels on a daily basis. But yeah, it's pretty much all the digital platforms that you can think of, including obviously of all the social channels that we all use every day.
Cool. Okay. And I guess as new platforms and channels come out, obviously they all kind of have their own like advertising methods in there. Do they have like overlap and similarities in terms of how you structure the ads, or is it are they kind of all completely different for what you're setting up?
They're all really different. I mean, you've got certain channels which your search channels primarily are response based. So somebody doesn't generally, or most people don't go to Google or Bing just to waste time. They go there with a purpose. They want to know something, they want to find out about something, they want to buy something, whatever it might be. They go there with intent. So it's intent based ads that you put there. It's trying to answer the query that the person's looking for. So what they've searched for. Whereas if you look at your social channels, they're very much interruption based. Most people don't go to Facebook or Instagram to go and look for an item of clothing or whatever it might be. What you're going to do is interrupt the time that they're doing on there by putting an ad in front of them that's going to attract them, going to get them to stop, take the time to read it, click on it, whatever you want them to do with it. So they're all slightly different, although generally you've got intent-based channels and interruption-based channels. They all do things slightly differently, and they've got different audiences that spend the time on them. So you need to structure your campaigns and the ads that you're running on them by the channel that they're on, by the platform that they're on, because you need to understand what is going to work for that particular audience on that channel in the right way to grab their attention. So you can't just run like the same ad across Facebook as you do LinkedIn and TikTok, because they're not going to get the same response.
Yeah, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, completely. And I guess to talk about those different channels, as someone who's like managing ads on a day-to-day basis, which is your least favorite channel to start with, and which is your most favorite channel to work with?
Yeah, my least favorite channel to work on is Facebook. If anyone's ever tried to deal with Facebook, they are lots of fun to try and deal with. The customer service isn't brilliant at times. So yeah, I'd say it's my least favorite channel to work with.
And is that from a kind of like your user point of view rather than a results point of view? So it's still you get good results.
Absolutely, it's a channel that we absolutely have to use. We absolutely need to be on there for our clients, but it's just the bit that I have to do on it can be interesting at times. Is the word I'll use for that.
Cool. And then, so which is your favorite channel?
Programmatic. I love programmatic advertising, which for those that maybe aren't fully aware of programmatic, so when you're browsing the internet, you're on Sky News or Sky Sports, whatever it might be, and you see those banner ads at the top, about 80% of them are served through programmatic technology. So that's using real-time bidding and artificial intelligence to optimize ads in the background, along with big data. So that is data that could be provided by Experian or Delhomby, so Tesco Club Card or Boots Advantage Card, or loads of other data suppliers. So layering big data on top of the right type of targeting and artificial intelligence to deliver your ads to people at scale, to just try and put your ads in front of people at the right way and the right time for them. But there's just so many cool features that you can do with it. I love it. We can have ads trigger in a particular part of the country because of the weather. So we could trigger ads for umbrellas in Scotland if it was raining there. It never rains in Scotland, so we wouldn't run that one very often. But we could do that, or we could run an ad for swimwear on the south coast, if it was particularly sunny there one day. So you can trigger campaigns and specific ads dependent on the climate that's going on. But you've also got lots of other advanced types of advertising that you can do in there, including inserting ads into TV shows, so into the ad breaks and into Spotify and lots of other things. So yeah, it's my favorite channel.
That's really cool. Yeah, I mean, like, because we've discussed programmatic in the past, and I didn't realize the things like you're saying in terms of the TV shows. Like you mentioned before, you can even into certain like online games and things, you can put your ads integrated into the games, which is just seems bonkers.
Yes, so you can not an ad that some people might see if they're into mobile gaming at all that pops up. You can do that lots of different ways, but actually natively into games on Xbox and PS5 in certain games where you can actually get the ad to appear as if it's part of the game. So that could be, as an example, if you were playing a football game or a racing game, you might see like one of the billboard ads either across the racetrack or behind the goal or whatever, and that can actually be dynamically inserted through programmatic technology into certain games. So obviously it's only a certain audience, so that's the right thing to do and the right companies to do it for. But yeah, it's all kind of advanced technologies like that, and that you can do with programmatic that you can't do with other channels.
That's pretty amazing. It's cool. It's such cool technology. So cool. So then in terms of the ad campaigns themselves, like you say, obviously they be slightly different per channel and depends on what the client's trying to achieve and those kind of things. But what's your kind of normal process going about creating the campaigns for a client?
Yeah, so once we've established what our client's goal is, so what do they want to achieve, sales of a particular product, leads, whatever it might be, we then take it back to who their ideal client is. So who's going to be, making those purchases or sending those inquiries. And then I start at that point and think about that type of audience and how they use the internet, what do they do online, and then how we're going to position ourselves with them so that they see the ads for the client in the right place for them or in the right way to get them to take that next step, to visit the website, to make that inquiry. So I always start with the client's client, so their customers, and think about them, and then try and position how we're going to run the marketing campaigns to make sure that they see the ads, and then from that work it back.
Yeah, so there's a lot of research involved, a lot of everything around the client themselves and their users and target audience, and all those things come together.
Yeah, we need to look at keywords, different audiences that might use their products. What do they have in common? Is there any particular interest that they've got? Is there particular websites that they might visit? A whole host of other things that we look at to then position and build that campaign.
Cool. So lots of ingredients to go into it.
Yes.
Yeah. And then leading on from that, this is like the golden question, which if you could answer, you'd probably be living on a beach in Barbados somewhere. But how much should a client spend on their digital marketing? And this is one of the questions that we always get as like new business people in terms of talking to PPC to people. So if you can answer this, I'll be very happy.
Unfortunately, and nobody likes this answer, that there's no one size fits all approach, and it all depends on as a business what you want to achieve. So my advice is always, when you're talking with an agency or your marketing team, is start off with the end result that you want to get. So think about how many new sales that you want, or leads, or whatever it is for your business. Think about that, and then through discussions with the marketing team, be it an agency or whatever, we can then usually try and then work it back and go, well, we'll need to in general have this amount of people visiting your website to get you those inquiries, and that's just based off of experience and industry knowledge that we've got. We then need to look at, obviously, as well, out of the inquiries, what's your usual conversion rate as a business. So if the end result is sales, you don't necessarily sell every inquiry that comes in. So you need to look at your sales, your conversion rate from inquiries to sales, and then work it back from there. So we can then work it back, look at the different channels, at the average costs of the clicks or the impressions or whatever it might be that we're doing, and then work it back to work out what that budget should look like for that client based on what that business wants to achieve.
Yeah, cool. And I think we discussed this internally a bit before in the past, but so in terms of if somebody's never done PPC before and they go to an agency or whoever they talk to about starting that up, yeah, I guess, you know, the additional bit of this answer will come in a second. But so to start off with, is there a way that you can kind of, by looking at their target audience and keywords and doing that bit of research, that you can give like an initial kind of idea of budget to spend in the different channels? I was going to say the second bit of the answer is that once you start running the ads and you start monitoring the data and how things are performing, that will tell you then whether you need to increase your spend or you can reduce your spend. So whether you're like overspending or underspending in that area. But it's that kind of like starting point. Like, should I be spending, you know, £1,000 or £5,000 a month? It's like kind of how do you go about determining that to start with?
Yeah, so usually when I'm working with like yourself to you know, put that proposal together for a client, as I said, we take all the information that we've got from the client to do with what they want to achieve, and then we can work it back and go, well, you know, if you were to start off with spending, and again, I'm just going to make up a number here, but say, you know, £5,000 a month, you know, based on the cost per click that you're likely to see, or the cost per impression, conversion rates, etc., you would achieve this. So we can look at, you know, a starting point for them, and then once they start to see the returns, then go, well, you'll then need to scale up potentially to this to achieve the goals that you've got at the end. But equally, throughout the process, we're constantly monitoring the campaigns, we're adjusting them, we're optimizing them, and you know, we always talk to the clients, and you know, we'll sometimes suggest that we move budgets around, or we decrease certain budgets, increase others, and it's got to be fluid. Digital marketing isn't fixed at all, so it's got to be that sort of fluid approach to every marketing campaign, and equally, you need to allow certain amount of fluidity in your marketing campaigns for seasonal aspects as well. So as an example, if you're an e-commerce business, Black Friday's approaching, you really need about a 30% buffer onto your standard budget in November, because you're going to see, or as we have seen for the last few years, you see big increases in traffic, not just for Black Friday itself now, because it seems to be a whole month of things that businesses run these days, but the whole of November, you see ever increasing, or the last few years, ever increasing volumes of traffic to websites, through Facebook and wherever else. So you need to have flexibility to allow for things like that. But equally, for most businesses, there'll be certain times of the year where the market itself is just quieter, so it's not maybe worth spending the same amount in those months, so you want to spend less. So you know, you need to have a certain bit of fluidity in your marketing plan rather than being very, very rigid on your approach.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, cool. And I'd say anyone who's listening, obviously a lot of clients spend a lot less than £5,000 a month as well. So it's not that that's like the in to digital marketing by any means. And then so just sort of finishing up on the digital marketing general bit, what sort of metrics do you use to decide whether a campaign has been successful or not? I mean, like, is it as simple as setting KPIs and seeing if you hit them, or is there other elements to it as well?
Yeah, so you know, obviously, it's all about getting a positive result for the client. So you know, if that client's aim is to get sales of a particular product, well, we can, you know, to a fairly good degree, we can track things online. So we can turn around and go, you know, you got these amount of sales from Facebook, or you got this amount of sales from Google, wherever it was. So we can do a fairly good return on investment report, so you can see exactly what's working for you, what's not working for you. And we can do the same for inquiries into a business, be it form fills, live chats on your website, or phone calls into the business as well. So there's lots of things that we can put in place to measure the interactions that you're getting and put them back to the channels that they've come from, so that you know exactly what's working or what's not working for you, which is actually more important, so that, you know, if a channel's not working for you, you know, you don't really want to keep investing into a channel that's not giving you a positive return on your marketing spend. You know, so being able to understand your entire front to back of your marketing strategy and what works, what doesn't work for you is imperative.
Yeah, amazing, cool. And then, so I guess moving on, you can get your crystal ball out. What do you think is the next kind of big trend in digital marketing, and what we're going to see more of in the future? Yeah,
so I definitely think what we call connected TV advertising is going to become ever more prevalent in the market. So that is essentially putting a TV ad targeted to the person or the household watching the program into that ad break, so that you get a very specific ad being served to specific audiences, rather than everyone in an area seeing the same ads. It's already in place. Sky do it already, but it's becoming a bigger thing where we're doing it across all connected TV. So smart TVs pretty much across the piece is definitely, I think, going to be one of the big areas to watch for in the future. And of course, there's more and more artificial intelligence-based algorithms and that being introduced by all the different channels, where more and more of their systems are optimizing and tweaking things in the background, as well as you going in and adjusting things, and that's going to just ever increase the amount of AI involved in digital. And it's something that you absolutely need to embrace and learn how to work with those systems and how to get the best out of them, rather than trying to fight against them, because they're coming. We're not going to stop them from coming. So embrace the technologies and learn how to, you know, work the smart way with them to get the best results.
Yeah, great. I think you're dead on there with the AI piece. So I did a talk a few months ago, and AI was one of the subjects of that, and like the amount of kind of investment in AI as a whole. So things like obviously like chatbots and tools and everything else, but obviously in the digital marketing world as well, it's definitely the way that sort of everything is moving. So it's crazy what it can do, but it'd be interesting to see how that evolves and changes in it, and especially with the targeting of digital marketing. Cool. Well, thank you for that, Andy. Hopefully it wasn't too much for grilling, and that was okay for you.
No problem.
I think now, guys on the call, if you guys have any questions, like I say, feel free to either just unmute yourself and shout out if you feel comfortable doing that, or if you want to pop anything in the chat there to ask Andy, then that'll be great, and we'll see. We'll answer some questions for you. No questions, I'll be very surprised. We haven't covered everything in digital marketing.
Hey Andrew, thank you very much for the talk. It's been super insightful from my perspective. So my name is Simon, and I'm a marketing executive at the technology company Finborn. And
Okay.
I was just wondering, so we're at the early stages of deploying a SEO strategy. So I was just wanting to know from your perspective, what should be at the top of the agenda when implementing SEO strategy and just kind of starting that process off?
So unfortunately, I'm not an SEO expert at all.
Okay.
I'm paid ads is my speciality. Sean, do you want to answer this, or do you want me to answer that from my knowledge?
Thanks for your question, Simon. So I think, like, obviously, as Andy said, the SEO and sort of digital paid ads are quite separate beasts. So I think in terms of SEO as well, from our expertise internally, we don't really look at the kind of long game SEO, I suppose you'd say. So you've got the kind of two aspects to look at from an SEO point of view. So you've got your kind of on-page, on-site SEO, so things like your content page speed, all the things that you want to get right for things like ranking in Google. and that good usability. So page speed is one of the huge things that Google look for. So they're all the kind of elements of SEO that we'll look at WebBox. Obviously, then you've got the kind of the longer game piece, which are things like backlinks and continually updating that content so that things like your rankings stay good and the content is updated, and things like Google will keep ranking that. So I think which side are you more interested in, or is it all of it as a whole?
Yeah, it's potentially pretty much all of it as a whole, and yeah, specifically within Google.
Yeah, cool. So I think I mean, like I say, there's kind of those key things to look for, especially I would say concentrate on the on-page things first. So things like your page speed, making sure the content is right, and there's lots of tools you can use to kind of look at that. So there's the Google Page Speed Insights page, which you basically just put your site URL in, and it will give you a report back as to how fast the speed is on desktop and mobile, and it checks that across like a range of devices and internet speeds as well. And then it'll give you suggestions as how you can speed it up. So whether it's like image based, or there's like too many code files loaded into the page, or whatever it might be. So you can look at those and improve those. And then there's tools like Yoast. There's one for Google Docs as well, which I can't think of the name of off the top of my head. But if you, I'll try and remember if Simon, I can email you afterwards. But essentially, you can put your content into a Google Doc, and it will give you like a report of how good, from an SEO point of view, the content is. So there's things like that you can do to get the kind of website right. Obviously, you want to look at things like usability and the design around that, and then move on to the kind of the wider SEO bit, which like I say, is not something that we do internally, but it's things like getting backlinks and sharing content out, and getting your credibility of your site higher so that you rank higher, basically. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thank you very much
for
answering my question.
No problem at all. Cool. So we'll just go back to the chat here. So we've got one from Vikash, who says, what's the best way to get started with running campaigns? What do you think on that, Andy?
Yeah, so I'd always start off by understanding who your clients really are, who your ideal client is, and that's an internal thing that you have to work through from what you know about your clients. What's the commonalities that they have. You need to understand that so you know who to target. You then need to understand which products you actually want to, or services you want to sell more of. So not all products and services are equal. Some will obviously have higher profits or higher capacities that you need to fill. So understand, your key targets, who your ideal client is, and then Google themselves offer some really good tools so you can go and do a little bit of research yourself into keywords and trends. It is a good place to go and start, and then if you're ready to have discussions with marketing professionals, because there's professional tools that unfortunately that the public don't necessarily have access to, that we can do deeper dives into what your competitors are doing online, and what the finite details on the trends that are happening to establish the right type of campaign. But understand the exact products and services you want more of, what your profits on them are, because that's going to tell you obviously how much you can spend to attract those clients. And if it's a ongoing product that they repeatedly buy, or an ongoing service, understand that lifetime value for that client, because that's an imperative part of it as well. And as I said, what similarities they have across the board.
Cool. Vikash, I hope that answers your question. Then moving on to, so Taleri's left questions here as well. So I think possibly you just kind of touched on it, similar elements there. So when researching, what processes and methods do you use to gain a better understanding of the client's customer?
Yeah, so as I said, some of that information has to come from yourselves, because you know your clients better than we do. You know, we don't have access to your records. You know a lot about them. Have a look at any analytical tools that you may have already on your website. So be it, you know, Google Analytics or which is what most people have, or one of the other tools. And you can start to see certain trends on there as well about what people are doing, times of day that they're coming, or where they're coming from, or the interest that they've got. So start using or start by looking at the knowledge that you've got as well within your business already. That's a really good place to start from a research point of view. And then, as I said, you know, have a look at some of the Google Trends information as well, and that will give you a bit of a help and a steer as well into what's popular, what they're searching for, and you know, keyword tools as well, and can help you identify the popularity of keywords, and then it can also suggest some others to you as well.
Yeah, nice. It's the thing, isn't it? Of like, data is king. So if you can gather as much data as you can about your clients, I suppose, then it's setting you up for the best result you can get. And I think I was speaking to somebody a few weeks ago actually, who they kind of knew their target audience, and it was a very big, broad demographic, but they want to go away and work on splitting that down into smaller demographics. So like we say, in terms of using the right channels, you don't want to be marketing to sort of 50 to 60-year-olds on TikTok, or, you know, it's maybe another channel is more effective for that. So yeah, you know, you can have a good overview of the whole demographic, but it's, can you split that down again into further to make those channels as effective as possible as well.
Absolutely.
Cool, Larry, hope that helps. And then we've got one here from Aisha. So what advice do you have for a brand struggling to get Google ad approvals? As a lingerie brand, it's one of the biggest barriers. So there's a follow-up to that as well, but we'll go with that first.
Yeah, it can be interesting trying to get lingerie type ads through approval. So Google has a big thing about obviously trying to protect children online. That's where it all stems from, is, you know, they've got legal responsibilities, and then they've got ethical ones themselves, where they can be really quite strict in approvals. But you can absolutely advertise them. It's all to do with the setup of your campaigns and the setup of I'm assuming you're trying to do Google Shopping. I'm not sure if you could put it in the chat, Nashir, if that's right. If it is that you're doing the like of Google Shopping, you have to have your feed and Google. Yeah, you have to have your feed and from your website to the Merchant Center, and then the Merchant Center itself set up in the right way to do with the fact of the product that you're selling for it to go through approval. It's probably either something from your feed or something in Merchant Center itself that is stopping them from going through approval, and it just needs to be worked through. But you can absolutely advertise them. So it's normally something to do with your setup, and not the fact that you're not being specific about the fact that the product is aimed at adults is probably what's stopping it at the moment. Cool.
So a bit more of a deep dive into that would help, but yeah, hopefully that helps that first bit, Aisha. And then the second bit is from Aisha as well, is also, how would you recommend getting started with programmatic? And she says, thanks for an insightful talk.
I'd say give us a call. Programmatic can be a bit of a beast. It can very quickly run away with budgets if you don't set it up the right way, and if you don't build those audiences right or your targets right. So it's something that if you don't have experience in programmatic yourself, I would never recommend somebody tries to go to one of the self-serve programmatic platforms and try to do it yourself, because I've not seen many of them work successfully for people if they don't have programmatic experience as such, because it's not just like Google Ads as an example. There's an awful lot more to the background that you have to do in it to get it to be successful for you. There are one or two platforms out there that will make it easy for people to run programmatic campaigns, shall we say. But as I said, I've not, in my experience from working with clients, I've never seen great back-end results from them. And it's normally to do with the fact that they've just not been set up properly to begin with.
Cool, thank you. Cool, so Aisha, hopefully that's helpful. I guess if you want more info on programmatic, feel free to send us an email, give us a call. And I do remember meeting you a few weeks ago, so thank you very much for joining the session as well. It's lovely. And then we've got one here from Aaron as well. So when starting a new campaign, do you use mostly broad match key search terms, even if your product is fairly niche? I understand that Google needs to go through this learning phase.
So I, as a sort of fairly broad, when we're talking about broad match rule, I don't use a lot of broad match keywords for most campaigns. And that's the fact that broad match by definition will pick up for anything to do with your keyword at all. So you can use broad match, but you need to, if your product's niche, you need a really strong negative keyword list in there as well to try and limit the traffic that's coming to you that isn't right for you as a business, because you will get an awful lot of traffic coming to you that just isn't relevant to you as a business or a brand, if you're using broad match without a lot of negative keywords in there. So usually I would start off with exact and phrase match, but again, layered up with negative keywords in there as well that are not right for your business. So as an example, if you're a kitchen company, so like a kitchen manufacturer, and you did handcrafted cabinetry and granite worktops, and your kitchens are £30,000-40,000, you want to avoid keywords or somebody searching for kitchens that are cheap, as an example, or 5 cabinets for £5,000 or whatever it might be. So you really need to think about your audience again and limit the searches that are going to be triggered by your keywords by using your negative keyword list, because otherwise it will spend your budget, but it won't actually learn about who your clients are, because there's a chance it will just send you mostly, unfortunately, their own type of clients to begin with. Broad match can work, but you need really, really, really good negative keywords in there as well to make sure that it's narrowed as much as possible on the broad match.
Cool, and Brendan's just pipped in on that answer there, Andy. So have you got an example of a negative keyword that you'd use in that kitchen example?
Yeah, as I said, so if you were a very high-end kitchen company, you would want to put in like cheap as a negative keyword, because you don't do cheap kitchens. So you don't want somebody who's searching for cheap kitchens to see your ad and click on it and waste your budget, because that's not your target audience. Or cheapest granite worktop, another great example. If that's not the audience that you're going to be going after, because that's not the end of the market that you're at. So again, if your product isn't particularly cheap, or if you were a blind company that just did custom-made blinds, well, you don't want people seeing your ads who are searching for 5 blinds for £99 as an example. So you really want to think about who your audience is, and if you aren't going to be at that bottom end of the market type of thing, you might want to use like a cheap, free as negative keywords. Equally, you just about always want to put, unless you are a recruitment company, jobs, vacancies, etc. in as negative keywords, because what you don't want your ad triggering for is somebody looking for a job in kitchen fitting, unless you are actually open to recruiting at that time.
Yeah, nice. It makes sense. So it's the thing, isn't it? It's about, you want to get leads, but you want to get the right leads in. So it's about obviously, again, with that budget you put into the channel, it's about using as effectively as possible. So it's not just getting used up by, like, say, people who are looking for the kind of wrong thing and clicking on it by mistake. So cool, makes sense. Cool, guys. Aaron and Brendan, hopefully that answers that for you. So I'll give it another minute if anyone's got any other questions that they want to pop in. Again, if anything comes to mind after this, I've emailed you all about like the reminders, and like I say, I'll send over access to the recording once that's been processed. So if you've got any questions, feel free to send them across, and we'll do our best to answer them for you as well. So if nobody's got anything else, you may have 14 minutes back in your schedule.
Yes, so another question just come in from
thanks,
Aaron.
So how valuable do you deem optimizing your campaigns with site link extensions, etc.?
Very, 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 very. That's not enough varies. You need to use extensions. Use all the extensions you possibly can. It's going to help with your quality score, which helps position you slightly higher in the search results and actually lowers your cost per click as well. But it also helps to take up more white space. So it makes your adverts bigger. Not all your extensions trigger all the time. So if you do ever search for your own ad and you don't see them, don't panic. But you know, taking up space is imperative so that it knocks your competition further down and makes you stand out because you're giving more information to the person making that search, and hopefully the information is more relevant to them as well, to encourage the right people to, again, click on the advert and make an inquiry to your business.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for the questions as well. Cool. I will, I guess I will wrap it up there then. So I'll just say thanks to everybody for joining. Hopefully you found that useful and got some useful information out of it. Andy, thanks for doing it as well. I know it's not always easy being sort of grilled with questions.
No problem at all.
Thank you very much. As I say, guys, I'll be in touch shortly after this with an email to say thank you for joining, and I'll send the video across once it's been processed, so you've got access to that as well. And like I say, if you've got any questions or if there's anything you want to know further about the world of PPC, feel free to get in touch. And like I say, we'd love to help you out. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. And I should say as well, we've got a few more webinars coming up over the next few weeks. So I can send some information about those, but there's various around kind of like the website trends to look out for in 2023, as well as benefits of a bespoke web build process and pros and cons of some of the leading CMS systems. So if there's anything that interests you there, then yeah, feel free to sign up to those. We'd love to see you there. But yeah, I'll just say again, thank you very much for joining, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.